When students entered Yeshiva University High School for boys, they were entering more than a school. They were entering a closed system, a pipeline, a world where authority was absolute and obedience was expected, a place where adults were not just educators, but moral gatekeepers, where students were taught early that questioning power came with consequences. According to a lawsuit filed decades later, that structure failed catastrophically. John Doe alleges that while he was a minor student at Yeshiva University High School for boys in the mid-1980s, he was sexually abused by Rabbi George Finkelstein, the school's principal. Not a peer, not a misunderstanding, not someone on the margins. The principal, the man who controlled discipline, who controlled recommendations, who controlled advancement and access to opportunity. According to the complaint, the relationship was defined entirely by power. John Doe was a teenager. His future depended on staying in good standing. Refusal was not neutral. Resistance was not safe. The lawsuit alleges that requests for guidance and mentorship were used as leverage. In one account described in the filings, John Doe sought help with college applications. He claims that assistance was conditioned on meeting alone, outside normal school settings. When he attempted to protect himself by choosing a location he believed would be safer, he alleges the abuse still occurred. The complaint does not describe confusion. It describes control. And according to the lawsuit, the harm did not end there. John Doe alleges that after the abuse, retaliation followed. He claims false accusations were made against him, that his reputation was dismantled, that he was expelled during his senior year. Expulsion does something powerful. It removes the student. It removes the problem. It allows the institution to close the book without explaining what happened. The authority figure remains. The system continues, but the lawsuit does not describe a single isolated actor. It names another adult, Richard Andren. According to the complaint, Andren was a close associate of Rabbi George Finkelstein, who had repeated and unsupervised access to students. John Doe alleges this access was not accidental and not hidden. He claims it was enabled through relationships with administrators and treated as normal. The lawsuit alleges that administrators knew or should have known students were being placed at risk and failed to intervene. That allegation is the turning point of this chapter, because once warnings exist, the story is no longer about a single bad actor. In later proceedings involving multiple plaintiffs, courts summarized allegations that complaints about Rabbi Finkelstein had been raised repeatedly over time, that concerns were known, that warning signs were visible. That action could have been taken and was not. At that point, ignorance stops being a defense. Institutions rarely fail loudly. They fail quietly, through delay, through tolerance, through choosing stability over disruption, through convincing themselves that internal handling is the same as accountability. According to these lawsuits, that is what happened. Authority remained intact. Access continued. The institution functioned. Students graduated. Reputations were protected. The system held. And the students carried the consequences alone. Chapter 3 is not the most shocking story in this series, but it is the chapter where the benefit of the doubt begins to collapse. Because when a child alleges abuse by a principal, and when warnings are alleged to have existed, harm stops being accidental. It becomes structural. And once harm is structural, what follows is no longer surprising. It is inevitable. All allegations described are drawn from publicly filed lawsuits, sworn statements, and court records. Defendants deny wrongdoing, unless otherwise noted.